This episode is brought to you by State Farm. What do your music playlists and podcast feeds have in common? They're a reflection of you. And that's how the State Farm Personal Price Plan works, too. It gives you options to personalize your coverage so you can protect what you care about most at an affordable price that's just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Go to statefarm.com today to create your State Farm Personal Price Plan. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Make summer more delicious with Whole Foods Market, where there's something for every adventure. Get ready for road trips with wallet-happy snacks, sparkling waters, and sports drinks from 365 by Whole Foods Market. Taking a staycation? Make it count with wild-caught fresh sockeye salmon, beef kebabs, and sirloin steaks for the grill, plus sweet and juicy summer fruit like sugar-kissed melons and organic cantaloupes. Don't forget fruit-filled pies for dessert. Summer your way with Whole Foods Market.
This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 2371. Don't Escape, Get Inspired by Steve Kamb of nerdfitness.com. And I'm your host and personal finance enthusiast, Diana Merriam. Welcome back to another bonus Sunday episode. This is where we get to hear from one of the other shows in our podcast network. And today's comes from Optimal Health Daily. You can find that show wherever you're listening to this. And with that, here's Dr. Neil with the post and his commentary as we optimize your life.
Don't Escape, Get Inspired by Steve Kamb of nerdfitness.com. In my nearly 6 years of writing for Nerd Fitness, I've come to a big realization that has guided my daily decision-making process. Books, games, movies, and our own experiences are a chance to do one of two things: temporarily escape our own existences, or get inspired to improve ourselves in real life. These decisions start innocently at an early age. As kids, we use those books and games as both a fun escape and inspiration. When our parents asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up, and we mentioned things like, "I'm going to be strong like Popeye," or "I'm going to travel like Dora," the response was always, "You can be whatever you want. You can do anything." I remember playing Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past as a kid. I would go out into my backyard, imagine it was the Lost Woods, picture myself as Link, and feel like the fate of Hyrule was truly in my hands. It was a great mixture of imagination and adventure. Then something happens. We grow up. We stop thinking of what's possible, and instead think of what's rational, responsible, and realistic. Anything outside of the norm, which is a bizarre term in itself, is an opportunity to be judged by our peers, our family, and our friends. And we're busy. We tell ourselves that we can't do the things we want to do. We tell ourselves we don't have the time, money, or the genetic gifts to accomplish our goals. Those games and books and movies that used to provide a chance for our imaginations to run wild and inspire us to live our fantasies are just a chance to escape a dull existence. In fact, I was in trouble of getting caught in this cycle until deciding to flip reality on its head. This was the subject of my 2012 TEDx talk. Luckily, I found my way out, and now I'm part of a group of folks that have found their way out too, the Nerd Fitness Rebellion. We love these games, books, and movies, but they're used as inspiration rather than escape. Remember, we are presented with two choices as nerds and rebels. We can daydream about becoming Superman, the Man of Steel, or we can find a way to get stronger. We can wish that we could run like the Flash, or we can work on getting faster. We can lie awake imagining life as Indiana Jones, or we could set aside $5 today for that trip. We can be jealous of Tony Stark's Iron Man suit, or we can decide to rebuild ourselves. We can admire the honor of Captain America, or we find a way to embody his spirit. We can watch in awe as Oliver Queen's Green Arrow moves gracefully through any environment, or we can start to train like him. We can complain that we don't look like that other person at the gym, or we can make the comparison to ourselves from yesterday. We can admire the courage of Frodo and Bilbo Baggins from the comfort of our couch, or we can learn what courage really means and then step past our own scarecrow. Every time we make a decision to get lost instead of inspired, we are telling ourselves, Imagination Land, is better than reality. We choose to remain trapped in the Matrix, trapped in our own dream, like Dominic Cobb in Inception. In The Two Towers, when Aragorn asks Éowyn what she fears, her reply is perfect. Quote, "A cage. To stay behind bars until use and old age accept them and all chance of valor has gone beyond recall or desire." End quote. Nerd Fitness is a community of rebels who know this all too well and have chosen to break free of that cage. We've chosen to be unplugged from the Matrix. We use our characters as inspiration for what is possible. We use those books and movies as blueprints to start planning our own adventure. And then we get off our butts, step outside our hobbit holes, and see where the road takes us. Game on. What character or story have you used as an escape in the past? How did you turn it or plan to turn it into your inspiration? You just listened to the post titled, "Don't Escape, Get Inspired" by Steve Kamb of nerdfitness.com.
Make summer more delicious with Whole Foods Market, where there's something for every adventure. Get ready for road trips with wallet-happy snacks, sparkling waters, and sports drinks from 365 by Whole Foods Market. Taking a staycation? Make it count with wild-caught fresh sockeye salmon, beef kebabs, and sirloin steaks for the grill, plus sweet and juicy summer fruit like sugar-kissed melons and organic cantaloupes. Don't forget fruit-filled pies for dessert. Summer your way with Whole Foods Market.
This episode is brought to you by La Quinta by Wyndham. Wherever your work takes you, you know it's going to be a good time because you're staying at La Quinta by Wyndham. They have free breakfast, fully equipped gyms, and free high-speed Wi-Fi to help you take care of any last-minute business or help keep you in the know on all things sports. Tonight, La Quinta. Tomorrow, you triumph. Book your stay today at lq.com.
Dr. Neil here for my commentary. What character or story have I used as an escape in the past? Well, to answer Steve's question, if you've listened to this show for any consistent period of time, you've probably heard me discuss Batman at some point. That was my childhood hero. I still remember an 11-year-old me was watching the VHS version of Tim Burton's original Batman from 1989, while my dad, who was sitting next to me, was reading the newspaper. Oh, and yes, I am that old. Newspapers actually existed in my lifetime, and people actually paid money to get them delivered to their doorsteps. Anywho, after a particularly exciting action sequence, where Batman proved victorious, of course, I turned to my dad and said, "I want to be Batman someday." I couldn't tell if he was scared or proud, because his only reaction was to call out to my mom in the other room and yell, "Honey, did you hear that?" Anywho, that's who I wanted to be. I didn't want to live in Gotham City or anything. I knew better than that. That crime rate was way too high. But I wanted to be the crime fighter in my little town of Laguna Hills, California. And to this day, in my garage that I converted to a little home gym, I have hung posters of the world's finest, like Batman, of course, Superman, Iron Man, the Hulk, and even Wonder Woman to remind me of that childhood dream, and to help push myself a little bit further during my workouts, and to ultimately remind myself to be the best version of myself I can be. All right, that'll do it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for sharing the show with someone, and I'll be back here tomorrow as usual, so I'll see you there where your optimal life awaits.